So let's get this bolt cut down into pieces to make inserts. If you can, a guy should probably use hand tools wherever possible, but to make this quicker work, I'm just going to use the hacksaw. Why use hand tools? Because it's good exercise. I don't have it in there tight enough and it's moving already. I didn't want to crush the threads, so I wanted to be careful about how tight I am on it, but it does need to be tight enough to hold it. Okay, so we got the head off of it, and that's hot, so I'll just let that sit on the floor till it cools off. For this guy, we'll wear a glove. I don't know if you can see that, but anyways, we're going to get this cut in half now, so we've got 2 inserts. So we've got the bolt cut apart now, so for the price of 1 metric, 35 millimeter long, 10 millimeter thick, and thread pitch of 1 1/4. Not that you guys are going to need to know all that, but most of these mirrors that are sold are all going to be that diameter, and so no matter what brand of mirror mount you grab, it's likely going to be 10 millimeter 1 1/4 pitch. So something to note. So I've got 2 pieces here. They're still quite hot, but I'm going to have to get these filed down and clean up the threads on them a little bit. One note is when you're putting threads and bolts into the vice grips, the bench vise, you want to crank down on it hard enough to hold the piece steady, because it doesn't do any good to have things moving around on you. But also, you don't want to crank on it so hard that you mash the threads down, because we do need those threads to thread into this piece later. So just something to note. So I want to get these threads cleaned up on these inserts a little bit, and I've got a 10 millimeter 1 1/4 pitch die, and I'm just going to run this over the threads once just to clean them up. I'm going to need my vice grips. Well, here, let's use this big open end wrench. And just essentially want to get it all the way through the die, just to make sure I've got those threads cleaned up. So that's what I'm going to do, is just run it back and forth through here a couple of times. So now that I've got that insert run through the die, and that cleans up the ends of the threads a little bit, I can check and see if it will thread in, and it does beautifully. I don't want to go all the way in because I need to drill this out now for our 6 millimeter, and we'll tap that. And just finishing up this second one. There. Clean threads. See if that fits. Having a little trouble with this one. Maybe I'll reverse it around. Yeah, it's going in better the other way. So anyways, now we'll get that drilled out. We'll drill down straight through, as straight as we can, to not to 6mm, but below that. And I'll show you how I get that measurement. Okay, so here's my light. These are the threads that I want to drill into this piece to receive, making that insert. And I want to know how big of a drill bit to use for the hole that will tap this through. And for that I need these calipers. So I set these to millimeter, and there's two places I can measure on these threads. I can measure inside the threads. That's coming out to 5.56 millimeters. And then you can measure to the outside of the threads. That's 5.75. Well, that's a 6mm bolt. So I want to get a drill bit that's down, 5.35 or just under that. So I went into my selection of drill bits here and I measured these. And let's check that I'm at 0. Put this guy in there. This guy at its thickest measures out 5.1. The next size up goes to almost 6mm, and I don't want to cut away so much material that I don't have something to cut into with the tap. So this is the size I'm going to drill up to before I then run the tap inside of that insert. Okay, so as I drill these, I'm starting out with a very small bit, and I'm going to want just a little bit of oil on here just as I cut. I've just got regular, I don't know what this is, 30 weight or something in there, oil. And I'm just eyeballing this, but I go slow and steady at first. You know what? It's hard to keep it centered. So I'm going to change plans. I'm going to put a little, I'm going to start a little mark there first with a punch. So I've got this automatic punch which should put a little dent right in the center where I need to start, and that should hold the yeah, it's a little something there. Doesn't take much, just something to center it when you start. Now we'll try drilling. I'm just going to check, make sure I'm not getting off center. Yeah, it's pretty well centered, but I want to go just this way a notch. Now I could do this on the drill press, but it's such a small job. I think I'm just going to do it with the hand drill and eyeball this. But as I'm doing it, I change my body position so that I'm looking at it this way and just making sure that I'm level from those two axes. And should be able to do this straight enough anyways. This isn't an internal engine part. So I've been drilling away at this for a little while, stepping up. I'm probably about halfway there, changing up these bits as I go. I had one that I broke off because when you get into the bigger diameters, they want to bite, and if you're putting too much down pressure, it'll snap off the bit. So you want to be real careful about how much down pressure you have. So as I'm increasing the size of the bits, I'm also decreasing the amount of down pressure because they're cutting in just fine. And I guess I'm up to 5/32 here. I also keep clearing away the material as my holes get bigger. One of them I've drilled the hole all the way through, but that isn't necessary. And
just make sure I'm going straight when I start, and then it should just follow the hole. When you hear it knocking like that, it's grabbing, and you want to just be careful it doesn't grab and snap the drill bit off. Yeah, I'm all the way through on that one. Now, do the other one. That's got oil on it already. Make sure I'm going straight. Bit of oil. I just keep doing this. That's the one where I haven't gone all the way through, but I'm deep enough to clear the threads. You want to make sure you go deep enough so that your tap gets in far enough to, create threads, because the tap starts out narrow and gets wider. So as you don't want to bottom out the tap before you've gotten enough of the proper diameter for that whatever tap you're using, if that makes sense. And I'm on the last one. I've gone ahead and drilled through both of them at this point, but again, starting out as straight as I can on 2 angles. Taking it easy with the oil. I gotta have oil on there. Now stop halfway through, add a little more oil. Careful on your down pressure. That's it. I'm all the way through. I'm going to let those cool a little bit before I try to handle them. So the next step with these is we have to tap them out, and so I've got a 6mm by 1 thread pitch metric tap. And again, you need oil. And so I'm just going to put oil on the tap itself. I want to be going as straight as I can. Just get this to bite. So a little steady down pressure. So I go in, back it off a little bit. Gotta get it straight. There we go. Well, it wants to spin the whole piece, so I'm going to knock this thing out of here. Catch my piece. I don't want to crush it so hard that it actually deforms it, because now that it's hollow, I could turn it into an egg shape pretty easily in this vise. But I do have to hold it firm enough to have it straight. Well, have it not spin. So I may go in this sideways. In fact, that's what I'm going to try to do. So I think I got a better grip on it. I also find that it's hard to hold that tool with that thing. It's not working either.